Hey all you Ping Zero followers, Havoc here at Ping Zero HQ. I know it's been a while, we've been busy. We've been playing Farpoint for the last month. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to talk about Farpoint. But before we do, I want to talk about my history with shooters on the PlayStation. So we'll go all the way back to PlayStation 1 real quick. I'm just going to give you an overview and probably talk to you how they probably come up with their latest controller as well. This is a world according to Havoc, of course. So yeah, stay tuned. Right, so I started playing in the arcades. Many of you would have played games like Operation Wolf and of course Time Crisis. Time Crisis was one of my favourites, and it came out on PlayStation. I could not believe my luck. Time Crisis on PlayStation, and even better, you got to play it with a Namco controller based off the arcade machine. Pretty simple controller, only had the 3 buttons, A and B, and of course a trigger. It was wired, plugged straight into your controller port of your PlayStation 1 or 2, and it just then had this little tap to plug into your CRT. Remember that it can only be played on a CRT, it cannot be played on modern LED, LCD or plasma TVs, unfortunately, because it basically uses the reflective light to work. So I've only got this now for nostalgia reasons. I no longer own a CRT. I got rid of them all because they just took up too much room, and they were way too heavy to lug around. One of my favourite rail shooters of all time, Time Crisis. I didn't really play a lot of PlayStation 2 games. I was more into my Nintendos back in those days. So I ended up playing on the PlayStation 3, started getting back into my shooters. So PlayStation came out with the PlayStation Move in 2010 to basically allow us to play rail shooters again, because most of us were using LCD or plasma TVs, and of course the old light guns didn't work on those. So they came up with the Move. Of course, for the Move to work, you need a PlayStation Eye. They basically set it up with 2 modes, 2 fields of view, a narrow field of view and a wide field of view. You need it set up for the wide field of view to be able to play with the PlayStation Move. Doesn't look like a gun, so of course Sony brought out a few bits of plastic to wrap around the Move controller or wand. Here's their pistol. So basically it just slips in here, and then you just put this cover on. And lo and behold, you've now got something that resembles a pistol. Doesn't really look like one, but functions like one. Slight bit of feedback, force feedback you do get through it, and it came out with a couple of great games. Sony, obviously Time Crisis came out once again, so I once again got to relive my childhood dreams of playing Time Crisis. Incorporates a whole lot more weapons and a lot more fun and a lot more killing of enemies. And the force feedback is pretty good. It's quite a bit of fun. I just picked this up the other day. I picked it up for like $4 to shoot. It's another great rail shooter as well. Yeah, and it works really well with the pistol enclosure for it. Of course, there was another one of my favorites was House of the Dead Overkill. This game was made famous for its opening scene, mainly because of the amount of swear words in it. So here's a small snippet of the opening scene of House of the Dead Overkill. Check it out.
Looks like something was eating him alive. More mutants?
No shit, Sherlock.
If you're both finished admiring each other's dicks, can I remind you we have a fucking mass-murdering psychopath son of a bitch to catch?
You wait there, woman. Agent Gwendolyn and me are gonna check this shit out.
Man, I absolutely love that game. It is R18, so don't let your kids play it. It's got a lot of swearing and adult themes. But yeah, a fantastic zombie shooter. Next up, Sony brought out the PlayStation Sharpshooter, or the Move Sharpshooter. What it did is incorporated another component, was the Move navigation and controller as well, which gave you an analog stick and a D-pad as well, as long as another analog trigger. This was used, I used it on a couple of games, played SOCOM story mode all the way through using this, and then tried playing it multiplayer. That was a mistake. Just, you're not competitive using this unless other people are playing with the sharpshooter as well. It was good for aiming and etc., but like, yeah, it just didn't work that well. Some of the cool features had a sliding stop to hold it up here, and one of the other cool features had a reload button on the bottom. So you'd be playing, had to change mags, just whack the button at the bottom and you get a new mag. And yeah, it just added to that level of realism. Admittedly it's a big red bit of plastic, but yeah, made the game a lot of fun. I played a lot of SOCOM on it, and also it worked with Killzone 3 as well. So both these games work with the move. Only played them in story mode. Playing them with a multiplayer with a sharpshooter, I wouldn't recommend. So let's fast forward to PlayStation 4 now. PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR comes out. Their first rail shooter on PlayStation 4, of course, is Until Dawn, and that's a lot of fun. Another sort of horror shooter, fantastic. Now, a quick tip, Ping Zero tip here. Do not go and buy the plastic housings for the move controllers if you're going to be playing Until Dawn. It doesn't work. Basically, you hold the move controllers like this here, and so it puts it on basically about a 25-degree angle. And if you try and use this here, it's going to be holding the move controller at basically level. So it'll be inaccurate. Okay, so you'll actually hold the move controllers, and when you actually look at it, it looks like you're actually holding a weapon. It's kind of a weird angle, but it does seem to work when you're in the VR environment. So do not buy any of these if you're going to be playing, if you're using it on PlayStation 4. All right. Then next, I'm going to say it's a rail shooter. You guys will say it's not because you can move, and yep, fair point. So it's a first-person shooter that basically forces you to look one way and move in one direction. All right, and so they brought out Farpoint. You can play this with a DualShock controller, yep, but don't. Do not play it with a DualShock controller. You will be disappointed. You need to play it with this aim controller. Yeah, once again, it doesn't look like a gun. Yep, and that's a fair comment. But what Sony has done, remember you're playing this in VR. So, in VR, this is on the ground, your gun is on the ground, your weapon's on the ground. You pick it up and hold it in one hand. You're holding it in one hand in the game. You grab that weapon and your arm comes across, and all of a sudden, and it's amazing. You're looking at the weapon like this in game, and you see it for what it is. It's fantastic. I really do enjoy it. Some of the changes from the sharpshooter, they've incorporated a second analog stick up here. Ergonomically, it fits well. It actually works really well. All the button spacing is perfect. I can't really fold it. It's nice and light. It's pretty robust. It's been dropped a few times. Inbuilt, once again, inbuilt batteries, so you don't have to pay for batteries. And all your standard buttons are up here at the back. Works really well. Yeah, it would have been good that we could have kept on using the sharpshooter, but I mean, you pick up the sharpshooter and it's a rattly piece of peripheral. So yeah, fantastic, but designed really well, smooth, and works really well with Farpoint. If you do get an opportunity to, if you ever come out to P0HQ, do bail me up, and I'll give you. We'll try and get a few people playing Farpoint and see it. But here's a quick snippet of Captain Rex showing you how accurate the weapon is. Well, thanks for tuning in. That's just giving you a small snippet of what Farpoint's all about. I hope you've enjoyed this little history about shooters for PlayStation. Once again, I'd like to thank Logitech and PlayStation for hooking me up with some gear to make this all possible. This is Havoc at Ping0HQ. Havoc out.